Hi guys, and welcome to Angling For You, and today join me in the fantastic fishing tackle and bait. And what we're doing today is having a little look through hooks and what we use them for, and just trying to make your life a little bit easier when trying to buy the mental amount of hooks that are out there and getting it all right. So let's go. What we're going to do, we'll put it on the hands, and we'll put it on the hook so you can see them, and we'll have a little chat, voice over that, and hopefully that's going to give us some clarification and you a little bit of help, or make it a little bit easier for you. Right guys, so we have a selection of different hooks. Now what I've done is I've gone with bigger hooks to try and give you a little bit more visual, so you would probably use smaller variations of this. And I've gone for a few different manufacturers, and this is not me saying to you that these are the only variations of hooks that you can do, and there's thousands more others. What I'm trying to do is give you simple hooks that'll do most of your commercial fishing without having to wade through loads and loads of others. Yes, there are other brands, there are other hooks. These are just hooks that I use or I have used in the past that I really get on with, and I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you what I use them with. And I think that's the easiest way to go. It's more about how the bend is on the hook and how the hook sits as to what and why I use them. Now, I have got all these as barbless, of course, because we are all barbless in commercials, but also these are eyed hooks. If you want to learn how to tie spade ends, I don't want to be the person to teach you, because it's not something I use, so I wouldn't want to go through things with you that I don't necessarily use. So, like I say, we've got a selection of hooks. We're going to start with the MCMB, and this is a Preston hook. Now this hook, as you can see, it has a curved shank, so it's almost like a circle shape, or similar to a circle hook if you do pipe fishing. It is a very, very, very difficult hook to get out once it's in, so it is fantastic for the feeder. So when you are looking at a hook for the feeder, you want to look at the tail end there. You can see it's slightly bent out, and that allows you to tie a knotless knot with a band or a quick stop or anything like that. Now with these ones, obviously size 8, I wouldn't use size 8s. You're looking at an average of 16s or 18s depending on what type of venue fish, or 14s is the maximum usually for me, for this hook. Like I say, it goes up to 8s, and there, if you're allowed to use it, you could obviously use it for your bigger fish. But what makes them so great is with the shape. They are great to use with a bandem, a wafter, a hard pellet, or a corn if they're quick stopped, or they are bait banded or bayonets. What makes them so good is not only are they curved, they are slightly outshanked. So when you hook into, predominantly I would use these for F1 fishing, F1s that notoriously head shakers and will throw the hook and are shy biters. They're super duper sharp, and they go in, and once they're in, 9 times out of 10 they stay in and they don't come out. So first hook I've showed you is this one, and if you use this for your feeders and all your banded work, you're not going to go far wrong. Is there other hooks like this that will do banding, banded? Of course there is, but for me that's one of the best kind of shaped hooks that I use for that. The other one what's similar to that is what they call a Q-curve hook from Midi. Now what I would say is, if you're going for bigger fish, this is a QC-1 method wafter. So it does actually tell you on there, but I found that the gauge and the strength of this hook is really good for the bigger fish. So if I'm fishing for carp or bigger carp on a wafter or a bandem, or even sort of 8mm pellets, so this is the kind of hook that I'd have a look for. So it's a similar pattern where it's curved over and slightly off center, but super strong, super sharp, and stays in, and it's that little additional bit of strength that I do value when fishing for carp. So those first two hooks are my go-to kind of hooks when you're fishing for, 1 for carp, or 2 for F1s. And again, not that I'm saying that there isn't other hooks. There's loads of hooks that people that are like. The similar QM1s from Guru are very similar shape hooks as well, and are great for F1 work and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm just showing you a few of the shape. You can look at that shape and go and see some other brands as well that may suit what you want to fish with, or you've got confidence in. So next hooks. These for me are one of the hooks that I really like to use for paste fishing. So they're a midi bagging carp. Now I do use other paste hooks, and I like the Guru Extra Strong, and I do like the Matrix hooks as well, the I think the 4s, and I do like PR36s, which are Preston hooks. But again, it's not always about which is the best hook, it's about the shape, and that's what we're looking at. So again, the difference here is the hook. You can see the gape slightly wider. Now with a paste, you want to be able to, it's got a straight shank, and we're going to still tie a knotless knot, which will kick out the hook slightly to an angle, and we'll leave the tag end obviously to help with holding the paste, but it's got a wider gape, and having that wider gape allows you to get more purchase when lifting up on the strike into the fish, and 9 times out of 10 you're fishing for bigger fish. It gives you that great sharp hook hold. You can see there's slightly toe in on the end, the tip of the hook, and that's very similar from all those other ones that I described to you as well, from other brands. But that's the kind of hook I would look for when fishing paste: a wider gape, a straight shank to give me that little kick out. The reason I like the kick out is that most fish suck it in, it's slightly kinked, and they pull the hook and it's straight in, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to make a good hook up on there. So that's the shape. Like I said, there's other brands that I do use as well as the midi, but I wanted to show you a few different brands. Next one, going on to that similar straight shank. Now this one's not got a picture, so I'm going to try and get one out for you. These are the GPMBs. So M obviously standing for medium, so it's a medium gauge hook, but very, very sharp, as most of the Preston hooks are. But again, it is the shape. So I'll do my best to show this hook. Hope we can see it. The shape is again a straight shank, but it's got a slightly more curved bottom and a turned in tip, which is similar to the hook that we've just looked at, but the difference is this is a thinner wire gauge than the one that I've just showed you. So the bagging carps, you could absolutely fish corn on there, or multiple maggots, but for me, I've got a lot of confidence in these GPMBs for my corn fishing, for my fishing with bunched maggots, things like that. Because of the gauging, it doesn't burst the maggots, or or worms as well. It's really good for, and I like the gauge thickness, and with a straight hook it allows you to bunch on more with a wider gape, and it's curved at the bottom. But the positive thing is that the tip is slightly long enough to make a good purchase, so you can get a few baits on and slide it around a curve, but there's still enough point in the hook, so then it locates itself in the fish. So that's that one. Now on to two that I fish so much for my pellet fishing and my maggot fishing, and both can be used, I believe, for similar things, even though they are different in what they're called. But I use them so much. I fished a match last week, and I fished this hook. Well, I'm going to show you first the whole match. I did fantastic. It's super sharp, and the gauge on it is brilliant. So if you're fishing for your F1s or your silvers, these are phenomenal hooks, and obviously they go right down to 20s and stuff like that. So I use them for my silver fishing as well, and they are the F1 pellet. Now it's got an unusual shape. Straight shank, then off-centered, and then a very straight tip of the hook. Now this is really important for sliding on the pellet. So if you're sliding through the barrel of the pellet, it goes on straight and then it rolls perfectly onto that element of the shank, which leaves the point. Very, very sharp, very, very thin gauge, and absolutely superb for pellet fishing when you're doing expander fishing, soft jelly pellets or hookable pellets. You can even use it with a banded hard pellet when you're fishing a pole. Because of how it sits nice when you've plumbed up the tip of the hook. You can have your pellet, because there's a space, the pellet can sit in the space and it still sits level and on the deck with how you've plumbed it up, because of how the diagonalness of the point is, which is really good for your banded hard pellets when you're fishing for F1s as well. So that is got to be in your bag. That one, that is a good hook. And the last one we're going to show you, which sort of covers every single part of fishing now that we've gone through carp and F1s, is F1 maggot. So similar to the F1 pellet, but just a more pronounced angle on the hook. Now with that allows you to slide your maggots up there and you've got a nice strong point. It is very, very thin wire, super strong for its gauge, but super sharp. And when you're having a bagging session on F1s or for silverfish, eyed in particular, it stays super sharp and doesn't fail you, which is really important with a hook. Again, this one is a spade end, but you can get it in a barbless, in an eyed formation as well, but absolutely superb hook. So just have a little recap there. We've got your F1 maggot and pellet, which are great for having your natural baits and for your pellet fishing, for F1s, for silverfish. You can catch carp, obviously you can catch carp on any hook, catch anything on any hook, but they are really, really good, and specifically for that. Then we've got the GPMB, which again is for I use it all for my corn fishing, worm fishing. If you're going for carp, slightly thicker gauge, again perfect for that kind of fishing. Then we've got the bagging carp, which again, the shape, it's all about the wide gape for your paste fishing, and obviously a strong wire. And then on to the two, which are my feeder kind of choices. We've got the Q-curve design, just giving you two variations of that rounded, twisted tip on the hook. We've got this one, which is a smaller carp and F1s for me, and this one where if you're going for bigger carp, the Q-curve. Let's jump back onto main camera and finish up. Right guys, so hopefully this little selection of sizes and shapes of hooks gives you a little helping hand in the absolute sea of hooks that are out there. Now obviously there's lots of brands that do similar shapes, so it's about finding what works for you. It's the shapes really that we're discussing today, and the gauge of the wire that we're talking about, to allow you to know what it is best for best. Most hooks will tell you on the back what they're ideal for. Most hooks will tell you what size fish they're aimed at, so do check that out. But in my experiences, for me, these have worked some of the best shapes for catching the fish that I try and target. So hopefully this has been helpful to you, and it can give you a little deep dive into the craziness that is the masses and masses of hooks that are out there. So if you want to follow us on Angling For You on YouTube, there is loads and loads on the playlist, and on Angling For You Back to Basics, again we've got a nice little up and coming part of easy to come by videos that help you with the basics and getting into fishing. If you want to see us, join us on Facebook group at Angling For You, or on Instagram at Angling_for You. That would be fantastic, and if you could like, share and subscribe, even better, and join the Angling For You family. Until the next one guys, thank you very much for watching. Thailands.